What is up, everybody? This is Influence Danger. So Riftbound is out, and I'm super excited about that. I've been able to play with some friends and actually get my hands on physical cards, so that's really fun. But I've noticed that some new players have had issue understanding showdowns and combat. So I really wanted to dig into how combat and showdowns work. Let's jump right into it. So first of all, what is a showdown? So a showdown is essentially an opportunity for both players to play cards back and forth, kind of like a tennis match. So I play one, then you can play one, then I can play one, then you can play one, etc. How do showdowns happen? Like, when do we actually get into a showdown? So showdowns are essentially initiated when you move into a battlefield that you do not control. So again, two ways that can happen. One is you move into a battlefield that the opponent controls, or two, you move into an unoccupied battlefield. So in both of these scenarios, a showdown will start. But the real meat and potatoes here is when opponent controls a battlefield, and they control it just by having units on it. So let's say I want to stake a claim on this battlefield. Well, I've got to get over Victor and Heimerdinger over here. So I will move in with Jinx. So Jinx actually has an ability here that would make her stronger, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let's just pretend she just has 4 might. Okay, so I move in with my 4 might Jinx. Now, in a showdown, you can gain the focus state. The focus state, when you gain the focus state, you will also gain priority. So I'm going to start with priority. Priority is just the ability to play cards. So when you have priority, it is your turn to play cards. When you have focus, and remember, when you gain focus in a showdown, you gain priority as well, but they are different. When you have focus, you have the ability to start chains. Now, I'll talk in a second about what chains are. But just know that when you move into a battlefield, if you're, the attacker, essentially, you, as the attacker, the person moving in, gain focus first, and therefore get priority first. But just know that when you are in a showdown, you can only play stuff with action or reaction. Now, action and reaction are notably different. So the most important thing is that action can start chains, but it cannot add to chains that have already started. And reactions can both start chains and add to chains. So I've talked a lot about chains. What are chains? How do they work? Chains are a last in, first out queue of cards waiting to resolve. So I'm going to actually go back to this example that's happening right here. So I'm going to attack with my Jinx, 4 might, and because I'm the attacker, I have focus first. I gain priority. Because I have priority, I can play a card. I play Void Seeker. So Void Seeker says, at action speed, I can deal 4 damage to a unit, draw a card. I want to deal 4 damage to Victor. So I put down my Void Seeker onto the chain, targeting Victor to deal damage. So our chain currently is 1 card waiting to resolve. Now, I actually do not give up priority immediately when I play this card. I can hold priority here, or say I can keep priority here and say I want to add more cards onto this. But they would have to be reaction cards. So Gust, for example, works. So 2 scenarios here. I can add to my own chain already and say, okay, I used Void Seeker. Now I want to use Gust before I let my opponent do anything. So there are 2 cards on this chain now. So how that works is Gust would have to target Heimerdinger, return a 3 might or less unit to hand. So if this chain is not reacted to by the opponent, which it could be, Gust will resolve first, sending Heimerdinger to the hand, and then Void Seeker would resolve, deleting Victor, dealing 4 damage to him. So, even though I played the Void Seeker first, the Gust resolves first because I played it last. Remember, last in, first out. Another way that this could happen is, let's say I just lead with the Void Seeker. So I move in with Jinx. I'm just going to use Void Seeker to try and hit Victor here. Now, this chain is just one card. And I will pass priority to the opponent saying, okay, I've used my Void Seeker, but I don't want to add anything else. So I'm going to give priority to you. Or rather, I must give priority to you. So opponent sees, okay, there's a chain of one card right now. I can't play this action card because I can't add to a chain with action cards, but I can actually react with a reaction card with Stupefy. So opponent says, I want to play Stupefy on your Jinx. Stupefy would reduce Jinx's might by 1, putting her down to 3. And now we have a chain of 2 cards. So Stupefy would actually be the first thing to resolve here, sending Jinx down to 3 might. That's done. Then Void Seeker would resolve, dealing 4 damage to Victor. I would, send him to the trash. That's done. Once that chain ends, we can start a new chain. But I will have to give focus to the opponent. They can now start their own chain. So let's pretend they already used that card. So now, opponent, having focus, can use this Hidden Blade as an action card. So let's say he wants to do that. He targets my Jinx, says, okay, I want to target Jinx with this kill spell. So we now, again, have a chain of 1 card. And opponent, or the defender here, got to use an action card because they gained focus and can start a chain. I now can react to this saying, well, I have Gust. So I'm going to react to Hidden Blade, add a card to that chain, and maybe I, target Heimerdinger. And I target Heimerdinger, I can send him back to hand. Let's just send him over there this time. So this would resolve sending that. That would resolve sending Jinx, away. And that would be that chain. So let's actually recap that because I think it's important. The previous chain resolved, so I used my spells, but we did not immediately move to combat resolution because I had to give focus to the opponent. So another way that this could have happened is I use my spell, opponent uses, maybe they react, maybe they don't, but I pass focus to the opponent and they could do nothing. They could just pass. In which case, I would gain focus again and I could play more cards. But if we both pass consecutively, then we will just move to combat resolution, and that's when we would compare our mights. So in this case, I have 4 to Heimerdinger's 3, or again, forgetting the Stupefy. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. So I'd have 4 to Heimerdinger's 3. I would destroy the Heimerdinger and claim this battlefield. Boom. I get that point from claiming the battlefield. Now, I'll actually show some other parts of combat resolution. Let's say they did use that Stupefy, put me down to 3. In this case, we would clash. We would both be destroyed. And of course, if I had less might, then only my unit would be destroyed. So pretty binary might comparison there. But it's important to note how we actually get to combat resolution is both players must pass focus. So once both players pass focus without playing a card, then we move to combat resolution, do a binary might comparison. I hope that cleared up how to play cards in combat for you, and I hope you have fun, lots of fun, playing Riftbound. Thanks.